Hello guys, welcome back to the 6th week of basic drawing class. Today we're going to talk about portrait drawing. I start with this Parmigianino's beautiful, stunning portrait. We're going to study that. So we study the side view first, and then I will tell you the proportions in the process of drawing the front view and also 3/4, which is a bit harder. So let's get started. Let me zoom in a bit here. All right. First, I tell you the simple approach. So have in mind that the skull has two parts, cranium and the jaw. Cranium is an oval shape that has a diagonal axis, and then you have the jaw here. If you want to find the right place of the jaw, it's continue this direction and then connect these lines together. So you're going to have both the chin, the right movement of the jaw, and notice that jaw is much smaller than cranium actually. So here's the basic shape of our portrait drawing here. You have the cranium and the jaw, and then I want to connect it to the neck. Okay, then here's the shoulder. All right. We have to look for the placement of the eyebrows, which is basically here. Here we have the eyebrows. And the distance between the eyebrows and the chin is absolutely important, because middle of it is going to be bottom of the nose. Here's the bottom of the nose. And then you can find the bottom of the eye socket just by dividing this part into another half. There you go. You're gonna have this triangular shape right here. We do it again. Here we have the keystone. We call it the keystone. And from this point, nose comes out. See, it has absolutely this diagonal movement. And inside the eye socket, you have the sphere, the eyeball. Then we can add the eyelids. And here's the mouth. Well, for the oral section, we're gonna divide this part into thirds, so 1 and 2. The upper third is where you're gonna have the mouth and the lips. And then the lower part is top of the chin. Here we have a bit of facial expression as well. These lines show the oval form of the face, because when you have the light source and it bounces on it, this will happen. So it's good to know all these simple forms. All right, after that, we can add the hair, a bit of movement to it. By the way, the ear is between eyes and the eyebrows and bottom of the nose. All right. Just wanted to introduce a bit of line diversity. I needed a really soft brush here. Okay. Then we can add a bit of white on it. There we go. So let me recap again the proportions in this drawing. So you have this form of cranium, and the jaw. Here's the eyebrows, placement of bottom of the nose. This is where you have center of the eyeball. And the contour lines. Look at this triangular form of the eye socket, the nose, and the lips. And then you can add the hair and ear and the neck. Okay? Next, I can show you how you can draw actually the front view in 3/4. It's quite simple. So we can start the front view in 3/4 like this. The front would be an upside down oval shape. Always look at the eyebrows first, find the center of it, just the symmetry line of the head, the middle of it, between the eyebrows and the chin is bottom of the nose. Then here you have bottom of the eye socket. And at this point, you're going to have the lips and top of the chin. So what I'm going to do is adding the eyebrows actually in the keystone right here, which differs in each person. And see here you can add the eyeball as well. So the start of your portrait drawing should be absolutely simple like this. Here you have the zygomatic bone that I will explain more in the anatomy class in the intermediate course, not now. When you're drawing portrait, you should feel actually the form of the skull. So that's the most important thing that you have to do. And here's the mandible. And here you have the ear. This point is the hairline. You can start adding hair right here. Well, based on your reference, but I'm just trying from imagination. But please notice that here you have important landmarks. This is the temporal line. And then it comes down and you have the zygomatic part that goes down and connects to the chin. This line goes up, but as you know, cranium is bigger than the jaw, so you will, and you have to show that actually in your works. I'm just trying to show you the structure of the face as well, and the planes that are really important. And on top of that, then you can add details if you want. So here I'm more focused on drawing, so I'm gonna talk less a bit. You're seeing how I'm adding all these strokes. You can use the same approach for any other front view, portrait. And then add more detail, the hair. Okay, and for a 3/4, let's use the same proportions and just turn it around a bit. So imagine you have this perspective. You're gonna see the cranium like this. Here's the eyebrows. The symmetry line of the face is right here. Here we have the ear. And then here's the nose. So when you draw a portrait a lot, then you don't have to really think about proportions that much. You just have that in your mind. But if you're just starting to do that, I would suggest you to always look at eyebrows, the chin, and then find the placement of the nose, and then the eyeballs, then the lips and top of the chin. That's really helpful. Okay. So look at this temporal line here. It's like a box. Look. So always put this line here and then add the zygomatic bone. And here's the hairline. And then you can add the eyes, the nose like this, and the mouth. There we go. And here's the neck. Imagine that the light is coming from top left. So you're gonna have these parts in the shadow. See, when you start to see everything with its structure, it just gets much easier to control other elements, other visual elements like shadow, light, and then gradually you can add more. Detail if you want. Okay, and here I can add some details for the hair. Okay, you see how you can start with a really simple structure and then add more and more detail to it. Okay, I'm just adding more contrast and some dark accents on my work. and then we're done. Well, it was just an example to show you how you can start with the gesture and the structure of the face using those simple rules of proportions, and then get your work done. That's it. Okay, so I think that's enough for this portrait class. Next week, we're gonna work on drapery, and at the end, we're gonna have a demonstration on light and shadow as the last week of this basic drawing course series. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this portrait session. See you next week. Take care. Bye.